everybody. My name is Ryan McFadden. I'm actually the son-in-law of this man right here, Bruce Lengeman, and we hope everybody's doing great on this Palm Sunday, April 5th, 2020. And today, we are going to be doing an interview with the man, Bruce Lengeman. And if you haven't seen this video, we encourage you to go on his Facebook page, Bruce Lengeman Ministries. Go ahead over there, like the page. You can keep up what's going on. And today, we have been talking about this for quite a while for Bruce and me. And it's actually to start doing some interviews and regarding to various ministries and view things during this time. Now, if you're maybe on Facebook right now, go ahead and maybe submit a question, or during this time you want to ask Bruce. But Bruce and I are going to kind of have a little conversation during this time. And Bruce, how are you and Ruthie doing right now in Pennsylvania, especially with everything with COVID-19? What's going on your plate?
We're surviving. It's a different experience, and we're listening to a lot of what prophets and people that we respect are saying about this season. And consistently, we're hearing the word, God is doing something, and he wants to change some things. And even in the midst of the crisis, God is reforming all of us. And a better word would be recalibrating us. And so the message is faith, Brian, faith. We need to believe what God is doing. Yep.
And, that's a hard part. If we look at 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13, it talks about first of in chapter 13 about love. Love is kind, love is patient. We know that, of course. But at the end of verse 13, it says that you need to have faith, grace, and love. And all these three things, love is the most important. So let me ask you this question to start off with. And you talk about that. How can we just demonstrate the love of Christ to those around us during this time that we kind of feel like we're sheltered in of our own place and our own home? How can we share that love to people?
Yeah, well, in the former times we've been together, I realized that you don't ask easy questions. You ask broad scope questions, but I have a good answer for that, Ryan.
All right.
And I shared this to our church, the church that we oversee, the two churches that we oversee, just recently. And it has to do exactly with what you just said, even though you didn't know that when you asked the question. But Ruthie and I have discovered in this time that we being shut in and we're not able to meet as many people as restaurants. We're not going out to coffee shops. We're not having meetings. All our outside meetings have been canceled down. We had 2 trips to the Caribbean canceled. So we're home. We have found that there is so much more opportunity to be irritated about circumstances and things that are happening on a daily basis. And we've had to buckle up and just address these things and say, okay, we're operating together in a whole different environment. And we've had to say, how can we get it on this same end of the rope, pulling against the enemy instead of having a tug of war between ourselves? And what we had to do is we had to realize that in these times, Satan wants to bring division. And we can this experience for many people can cause bitterness instead of betterness.
Sure.
And Ryan, this is a time, as I read an article out of the Epoch Times by Dennis Prager, and he said that you are obligated in a time like this, obligated to be as easy to get along with as possible.
Wow.
And that's a message. And I even addressed it to the children, and I address it to the children right now. If there's children watching, or if there's adults, show it to your children. Children, you have an opportunity to get bitter or better. You have an opportunity to get irritated with your sister, with your brother, with your parents, because things aren't going your way and you're looking for something to do and you're bored. But there's a very easy answer to this, and that is take control of your attitude. And when you feel irritated, get over it. Get over it and be as easy to get along with as possible.
Okay, so let me ask you from a parent's point of view, because you know your grandkids. I have 3 boys. I have Oliver, who's jovial, loves to talk. He's 4.5 years old. I got a good old Dex, who is almost 3 here in a month, and he's Mr. Adventurous. Like, we are finding out that this whole quarantine and keep him locked in, the kid loves to run like crazy.
Sure.
And we had to get outside, and the kid would run. And of course, little Zane just turned 1 year old, and he wants everything, especially that his brother does. And I tell you what, the one thing is cool to see during this time, and for Oliver and Dex, they like to be together, and they feel more confident whenever they are together. But it's actually been a joy for Crystal and I to see when they are playing that they're actually sharing choice. Yes, they get irritated with each other. And then, of course, Zane, he wants to join in, but at the same time, he doesn't understand yet because he's only 1 year old. Like, I want this.
Right.
So, but I think that's a good word of advice, that this is good practice for kids to learn how to get along with their siblings, especially to understand this is mine. I have to take time out. Some kids are extroverts and introverts, and just find where they get their energy at. And you're right. Parents have to take control of it even at the same time, and to help delegate those boundaries.
That's right. Absolutely. And we have to delegate those boundaries between ourselves as adults too. Very, very precisely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a challenge.
It is. It is. And I want to go back to what you're saying too about, how we continue doing that. And we live in a 12-unit condo facility, and yesterday our kids, to show Easter, went out and strung up Easter eggs on the tree. And it was pretty cool at the front yard and the main roads in our town that people are driving back and forth, and they're seeing hanging Easter egg. And we live in a homeowner association, and we're like, we don't care what people think about the eggs. People need hope right now. People need to see, especially people are being laid off on jobs. Can't find toilet paper anywhere. I've been to like 4 different stores trying to find toilet paper. It's like a Bitcoin currency right now. Are you guys stocked up on toilet paper over there?
Well, Ryan, don't shake anybody's hand, okay?
We moved from toilet paper to paper towels to baby wipes. All right, we're going to start doing that quite a bit here.
Yeah, that's right. We're using magazines, but
All right. So let's talk about this a little more. So you got families, and how do we keep we're in the time of Palm Sunday. We're going to celebrate pretty soon here Good Friday, and then when Jesus is crucified, and then it fulfilled the promise of being rose in 3 days, and no other can be done about the resurrection. And we want to continue to keeping Christ at the center in our families. We want to keep Jesus during this time of that. So how, in your opinion, do we keep Christ at the center during this time?
I think 1,000 different ways. Number one is there was a message that one of the guys from our church, Brian Fulmer, sent out that I loved. And he was driving past a church that had one of these signs outside. And it said, the church is leaving the building. And he just loved that. And I thought that was great. That another pastor from Indiana, Kent Grimes, who I'm close friends with, and he sent out a text, and he said, he says, if my people, the people that I congregate, can't survive on their own without hearing a sermon from me every week and not being able to come into a building, he said, then I have not done my job. He says, I've equipped my people to stand on their own 2 feet spiritually. And so we have a different challenge before us. And that challenge is, Ryan, that we must be seeking God in a new way, abiding in him, as in John's 15, in a new way. But a couple things that are the reminders for Ruthie and me. And 2 weeks ago, on March 22nd, I did a live stream for a church called Bethesda Christian Fellowship. You can go on Facebook and just look at Bethesda Christian Fellowship and go to the March 22nd. And I spoke a message that changed my life and Ruthie's life way back in the first year of our marriage that we've always remembered. And so I'm not going to give you the whole message here. I'm just saying, if you want to go back about 45 minutes into the broadcast, you can see the message. But it's on don't curse the day. Don't curse circumstances. That no matter what happens in life, things go wrong. Things are always going to go wrong. But what Christians have a tendency to do, what we learned early in our marriage, is that when something goes wrong, we can easily say, I'm frustrated, unfortunately, get mad, get angry, cop an attitude, instead of saying, God, what are you doing? And I'll give you a real fresh example, how we can keep Christ, to answer your question. So doing the video for my church the other day, I spent like 2 hours in preparation so I would do it right. And finally, and I was on the phone with you. You were telling me what to do. You heard my frustration. So I get on the QuickTime player, and I do a 20-minute, Ruthie and I did a 20-minute video. And then we lost the whole thing. Something happened. YouTube said I could only upload 15 minutes, so I went to trim it. Okay, so I go back, and I only have 6 minutes left. And I was cursing the day. I wasn't using profanity. I was just so frustrated. Ruthie's trying to calm me down. Said, Bruce, trust God. So the next day we did it again. 6 minutes into it, my phone goes off. I'm doing it on my computer. My phone is connected to the computer. Shing, cuts it off. Again, I go into the same frustration against what I was teaching. I was teaching this, and I did it. But the third time we did it right. And all of a sudden I realized we said what we wanted to say, and the other two weren't as good. And so I say, thank God that that he knew better, and he set that thing there so that we could do the kind of broadcast that we wanted to do. And it's just an example how close to home it is when things don't go right, like are happening in our society all over, happening in home, whatever, that there's two words we have to always remember. Always. Do you know what those two words are? Two words when things go wrong. Two words. But God.
But God. That's good. Yeah.
We have to live in but God.
Yeah, that is true. And it's amazing, even little things in life, whenever we try to take things control in our own way, it goes horribly wrong. It goes horribly wrong. But whenever we say, okay, I give up, I'm going to let God, you just take over it. It turns better than I'll give you one prime example. Okay. That when I said in my life to say, I just give it up to God, I was just so frustrated, was actually my dating life. And here's the truth is I was trying to find somebody that I had this list. Boom, boom, boom. I need this person to be this, and this, and this, and this. And you probably handle and counsel people that has the same way of a list. Right?
Absolutely.
And finally, I took advice from a friend of mine from grad school. He's like, look, I just want to give it to God. And he was really Christ follower. He was a person that really dove into me. And I just saw what he did. He's like, I just give it to God. He knows what I want. He knows what I need. And finally, I decided to do the same thing. I'm like, all right. I am done. And 2 months later, I met this wonderful woman. Her name is Crystal. And of course, you know her, who is your daughter. And she is everything that I need. Of course, she's amazing. She's amazing. She's a great mother. She's a great wife. And it was everything God said. Like, see, if you just trust me, I would just do it. And I think this is a part with America right now, with all over the world, to put their faith into Christ, because he's got this. Now, of course, we know the whole thing with COVID-19 is horrible, with layoffs and the deaths of people, and we don't understand why these things happen, but we have to give it up to Christ during these times.
That's right. And another, number one on what you were saying, yes, I meet people all the time that are saying, like young adults, who's saying, oh, well, she's not what I want because she's this or that, or she says he's not this and that. They have their list. Sure. And I always say this, I said, you're not marrying a finished product. And you know what? Yeah. If you marry her, she's not marrying a finished product.
Sure.
You're going to grow together. But Another thing that's happening during this time, Ryan, is we are not dependent upon the church to be giving out to the poor or the government, whatever. Now's the time. Government can't take care of all these needs. The body is going to be the body. And it's just the video I just listened to where Chuck Pierce said, he says, in this time, even if you are being affected financially and economically, don't stop giving.
Sure.
It is time where they will know we are Christians by the love that we share one to another. And go ahead.
And we know too at the same time is when we hear giving, everybody's thinking, of course, tithing and finances, which of course, if you're able to give at this time and the Lord placed you on your heart to do that, give. Of course, we got to get that. But giving is not just financial.
Oh, that's good. Very good point. Yep.
It could be items that people could borrow. It could be I just remodeling in my house, and my neighbor upstairs had an air compressor and a brad gun, and I was able to borrow that to put the trim on. It's our time.
Yes.
It's our time that we can do Zoom calls or other to talk to people, because people are dying for community.
Give them a phone call. I think it's a great opportunity with their time. If we say, I don't know what to do, think of someone you can call. Yeah.
Right.
Good thought.
Right. So let's ask this question for those who are just tuning in right now. If you're on the Facebook page, go ahead to Bruce Lengeman's Ministries. Go ahead in that comment part of the live stream. Post your questions up there. We'll take some time to ask them during them, and we'll try to get to them. There is one person, Danny Kupfer. They say, "Hi, Bruce. Remember me?"
Not sure.
So, Danny, make sure you introduce yourself again to Bruce during that part. But if you got any more questions, feel free.
I know faces and first names. I don't because we meet with our travels and our speaking engagements and everything. We meet so many hundreds and hundreds of people all the time. So I don't remember always time names.
Yeah. So let's think about this too. Today, for those who may not know, Crystal and I, we live in North Liberty, Iowa, and I work at Grace Community Church. And today, our teaching pastor, Brooke Simpson, was going on 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, and really talk about brotherly love. Okay, how can we have brotherly love around the people? And we know the word brotherly comes from the Greek word phileo. Of course, you're close to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and
that's why there's no crime in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
because it's a city of brotherly love.
So I want to focus this a little bit different, because I think when we talk about community, of course, we're talking about men and women. And my wife, honestly, among women, has done a really well job connecting with each other. But for men, having community among with other men during this time can be really hard, because we don't like to pick up the phone. And what among men are the best way that we can have brotherly love among each other?
Well, I would say pick up the phone. We don't want to, but in a time like this, we're out of options.
Sure.
But yeah, in fact, Ruthie challenged me today. We were having our devotional time, and she just had a strong word for me. And she said, Bruce, she felt like I needed to connect with the guys of the church more. And of course, I had the answer. I connected to this person, to this person, to this person. She goes, no, you need to ask God. There's other people. And so right then I grabbed her hand and we prayed and said, God, lay on my heart who I can talk to. Now, here's a dimension, Ryan.
Yes. Sometimes
it's not just calling up to say, hi, how are you doing? It's praying and letting God share with you something that person needs. So you can call them up and say, I was praying for you and I sensed this. A word of encouragement, a prophetic word, an exhortation, a challenge, or just a place where we ask, what do you need? God laid you on my heart.
Yes.
And the Facebook is good. I'm trying to do a lot more posting on Facebook, but hey, we're out of options. but I
Right.
think we still have communication waves over, and so go for it.
We like to say we have kind of needed three things, and that is one, we need gospel truth. We gotta have the word of Christ in us, and to know what the good news is brought to us. Number two, we gotta have gospel community, and we also have to have gospel mission as well. And I think the other part too is that yes, praying, having that encouragement word to say. That we have those things in front of us, but we also need to remember to challenge each other during this time. Like you said, Ruthie's challenging you to talk to other men.
Oh yeah.
We need to do at the same time. Like, hey, have you challenged them, such as how's your family life? Are you making that connection with your wife still? With your kids? At the same time, are you keeping connection with the other guys? And I'm in a small group with 3 other guys right now. And one of them just had a baby. So we're like, hey, how's everybody doing? Do you guys need anything? Do you need a meal? We need to make sure that we're challenging each other at this time, too. And not sitting back and watching a whole bunch of Tiger King, which that is a crazy documentary on Netflix. I watched that. Check out Tiger King. Anyways.
Tiger King. Okay.
Yes. Yes, if you're in sociology or psychology, you have your whole dissertation thesis right there.
Is that right?
It is. Woo!
Cool. We'll do it.
Well, anyways, so we need to remember to challenge ourselves during this time.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
Now, one thing that you and I kind of talked about is that you're continuing doing more things To Kill a Lion.
That's right.
And do you feel, regarding this time, that men, especially being locked down in their house, you might be working from home, that it's more enticing when it comes to pornography, to lust, or do you feel like, hey, this is a time to recenter and just to focus?
That's a very good question, Ryan. Number one, I believe that when we debrief on this whole thing, coronavirus, when the officials debrief, in fact, it's even coming out through some very qualified people and very qualified doctors, that there is a projection and there's an overreaction in many places. And I think the unfortunate part of those are some of the victims are men, like you said, being alone in a home, whatever. Think of those who struggle with addictions, and they go to an AA meeting every week. The 3 most dangerous things for an addict is isolation, not being able to go to the meetings, anxiety. You see, that is, and not being able to buy what they need for their own sustenance, and they're all alone. They can't go to their meeting. They're frustrated. They don't have hope, and in a massive way, people are relapsing.
Yeah,
that hurts. Okay, so you get a guy in the home, Ryan, and one of the icons we have in the society that men have been programmed with, that this is helping them get over. And this is, we have an icon that's out of balance in our culture on productivity.
Yes.
Performance. And so we feel like we have to be productive, performing. And in reality, what God says is you're only responsible to do what I have put before you. And so you're at home. What are your responsibilities? No, you can't go out there. You can't go to work. You can't build your business. But what God has right before you may be to spend some extra time. Sit down and watch more movies with your kids than you've been watching to. Read stories.
Right.
Do whatever God has before you. And you can be productive in God in a totally different way.
Sure.
And being productive out there. And I know you know what that means.
Yeah, I do. And especially if some of you probably have done an Enneagram. If you have not, check it out. But whether it's an Enneagram, which I'm a 3, which is achiever based, and also with Strength Finders, I am an achiever. I like to get things done, especially activator, get started. But for men, we find ourselves that we are very, like I said, product oriented. We like to be success. We like to kind of get things done, mark off the list, and
we have time.
Yeah, and we had to refocus. What are those priorities?
That's very well said right there.
And so I think it's some good tips if we're thinking about this is we can be very frustrated on this side, as you say. We got the isolation, anxiety, lack of resources, but if we could turn that into a different focus in a different way and make that outline, we can start creating those practices now that can be more transferable in the future.
I agree. It's a time when some of our core beliefs are rearranged.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So let me ask you this and kind of close up here with this interview. Right now, of course, we're probably looking at least to the end of April 30th that social distancing, a lot of small business, all this stuff that's kind of happening right now. So my question for you, Bruce, is what are you doing for yourself as far as moving forward, keeping yourself busy? What do you got on the docket that you would like to do and foresee in the future? And how can people connect with you?
How can people connect with me personally, you mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a lot of people who are connecting with me through Facebook Messenger. I'm putting a lot of them, a lot of stupid. If you check my Facebook, I put a funny one on today, and I'm getting so many more likes and people responding and comments because people have time to do Facebook. But being home, I find that we're just as busy as we were before, but we're busy doing different things.
Yeah.
And I've encouraged people, I say, hey, if you need to talk, text me, email me. I'm not saying everybody give me a call. I'm not sure how much time I have, but that's been happening. We've tried to be as productive as we can, reaching out at home. Now, I am saying I don't know what the future holds for after these 30 days because it's going to change. It's going to change our profiles because there's going to be people that are going to lose their businesses. There's people that are going to be in financial hardship, and as an overseer of a church, two churches, and the kind of ministry that we do, I just got a text from somebody that I mentor, a leader, a ministry leader in another country, and he said, "Pray for me. I'm having panic attacks." And he's separated from his children. There's children, and his wife is in America, and he's in another country. And so it's just be intent to keep God at the focus and saying, God, what do you have for me? I mean, it's been good for me. I mean, I actually got a book that I wanted to get to the publisher for a long time. I tweaked it and got it to the publisher, and now it'll be just a little bit of time until they have it on Amazon. So,
and real quick, you want to give us a snippet of what is that book that you just sent to a publisher, if you're able to say?
Well, I will tell you, it's a book that I sent you and Crystal to read, and both of you gave me healthy insights in it. So after you critiqued it, and a couple other people critiqued it too, and I got very good response from it. But I took some of your advice and I went back and I added other examples except for Ruthie and I. It's called, what's the name of the book? Hold on a second here. Blah, blah, blah. Hold on. It's called Come Alive to Our Heart, a challenge for married men on emotional connecting. Come Alive to Our Heart, a challenge for married men on emotional connecting. And so I start out the book with talking about how God wants to restore the glory of manhood that our culture has diminished. Our culture has feminized men. They don't know who they are. They don't know the power that they have. They don't know how to walk powerfully. But part of that, of the development of a man, is not just to develop the steel side of him, but to develop the velvet side of him too. And this book is more about the velvet side as it relates to relationships and marriage than it does the steel.
All right. And when do you think would be the tentative timeline whenever that book will be coming out?
I have it. I am not going through my publisher, which is Certa Publishing. although they're a fantastic publishing organization. This one I've been recommended. It's just a small book to go through Kindle publishing.
Okay.
And so I went to someone who does Kindle publishing, and it should only be a couple weeks until it's on Amazon.
Well, I think one thing we should probably be doing is looking to schedule another interview during that time and whenever it comes out, so then that way more people can be able to have access to this and everything else. So I'm excited to see this. And like you said, I got to see a first draft of it, my wife and I, and it is really good, and excited to see what other additions you put into the book.
Very good, bro.
All right. Well, Bruce, is there any other final thoughts you want to give to your viewers out there right now?
This is good. I'll probably have more thoughts when we do our next interview.
Sound good? All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for checking us out for this live stream interview on April 5th, 2020. We hope you have a great Palm Sunday. Bruce, thank you for taking time on here, and be on the lookout for future live stream. We'll do some more interviews with Bruce, and maybe we'll get some other guests on there. Till then, I'm Ryan McFadden saying we'll check you later, everybody. Rock on to the fullest.